All right, everyone, buckle up. Because today we're going deep, really deep,
Yeah.
into a force so fundamental you might not even realize it's there. But trust me, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
We're talking about the strong force, the one that's keeping every atom in your body from just, well, flying apart.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
I know, right? And to help us unpack this whole thing, we've got some incredible sources lined up.
This is going to be good.
Now, I've always been curious, why is it called the strong force? It's not just a cool name,
Well,
right?
it definitely earns that name.
Okay, so spill the beans.
Well, picture this. It's like 100 times stronger than the electromagnetic force.
Whoa, the one behind magnets and electricity.
The very same. But it gets even crazier. It's like 10 to the power of 38 times stronger than gravity.
10 to the power of 38. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So where is all this power even happening? What's it doing down there in the heart of an atom?
So to really understand this, we got to zoom in even further than protons and neutrons.
Wait, smaller than protons and neutrons? I didn't even think that was possible.
Oh, there's a whole world down there. It's these tiny particles called quarks that the strong force really gets to work on.
Okay, so quarks are like the building blocks, and the strong force is what holds them together.
Exactly. And the way it does that is through these particles called gluons. They're like the messengers, zipping between quarks and keeping them tightly bound.
So gluons are like the glue.
You got it. They
Okay.
carry the strong force back and forth, making sure those quarks don't go wandering off.
But if it's that strong, why don't all atoms just clump together? You know, like one giant superatom.
Ah, great question. And this is where things get a little strange with a concept called confinement.
Confinement.
Basically, you never find a quark just hanging out by itself.
Mm-hmm.
They always exist in groups, like within protons and neutrons.
So they're kind of like the ultimate introverts of the particle world.
You could say that,
Yeah.
but hold on, because here's the really weird part. When those quarks get super close together, the strong force actually weakens.
Wait, the closer they are, the weaker the force? That seems completely backwards.
It's called asymptotic freedom, and yeah, it's pretty counterintuitive. But that's what makes it so fascinating, right?
My head is spinning a bit, I'll admit.
Happens to the best of us.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful force acting in these strange ways, but why should we care? What does this all mean for us in the grand scheme of things?
Now that's where the real excitement comes in. Because believe it or not, the strong force is the reason the sun shines.
You're telling me the sun, this giant ball of fire in the sky, is powered by something happening at the tiniest level imaginable.
You got it. Without the strong force, there'd be no nuclear fusion, the process that makes stars shine.
No way.
And it's not just the sun. The strong force is also responsible for creating all those elements heavier than hydrogen.
So all this stuff around us, everything we're made of, it's all thanks to the strong force.
Pretty much. It's like the ultimate cosmic architect.
It's way cooler than I ever thought subatomic particles could be. So, have we figured it all out then? Is the strong force like a solved mystery?
Well, we've come a long way, but there's still plenty more to uncover.
Like what? Give me the dirt.
There are still so many things about the strong force that have us scratching our heads.
Like what?
Well, you remember how we talked about that theory of everything idea?
Yeah, where all the forces are like speaking the same language.
Exactly. And right now, we've got a pretty good grasp on 3 out of the 4 fundamental forces.
3 out of 4. Not bad, right.
Not bad at all, but there's one holding out gravity.
Gravity, always the odd one out.
You know it. It's just so weak compared to the others, and it acts over these huge distances, which makes it tough to fit in with the quantum world where the strong force is king.
It's like trying to mix oil and water.
A perfect analogy. But we haven't given up. There are some pretty brilliant minds working on this problem.
Speaking of brilliant minds, what about those pentaquarks and tetraquarks you mentioned before? Do they give us any hints about how the strong force works?
They definitely add a new wrinkle to the story.
How so?
For ages, we thought quarks only hung out in groups of 3, like in protons and neutrons, or in pairs as mesons.
The dynamic duo or the terrific trio?
Exactly. But these pentaquarks and tetraquarks, they've got 5 and 4 quarks respectively.
Whoa, party in a proton. So are we talking about brand new physics here?
Not necessarily new physics, but it's definitely forcing us to rethink how we understand the strong force.
Like the rules of the game just changed.
You got it. These discoveries tell us that the strong force can create even more complex structures than we initially thought.
So there's definitely more to the story than meets the eye.
Always. And one of the most exciting areas we're exploring is how the strong force behaves under truly extreme conditions. You know, like in the early universe or at the heart of a neutron star.
I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Picture this. It's so dense and hot that the protons and neutrons themselves kind of melt away.
Melt away.
Yeah, it creates what we call quark-gluon plasma, this soup of quarks and gluons all jumbled together.
So it's like the ultimate cosmic melting pot. Where do we even find this stuff?
Well, believe it or not, we can actually create tiny drops of it right here on Earth.
No way. How?
We use these massive machines called particle accelerators to smash heavy ions together at crazy high speeds.
So we're recreating the Big Bang in a lab.
In a way, yeah. And by studying this quark-gluon plasma, we're basically peeking back in time, trying to understand how the strong force behaved in the very first moments of the universe.
It's like having a time machine for physics.
Exactly. It's a really powerful tool to help us test our theories and get a glimpse into the fundamental nature of matter.
It's mind-blowing to think that something as tiny as the strong force could have such a huge impact on the entire universe.
I know, right? Just goes to show the tiniest things can have the biggest consequences.
This deep dive has taken us from the smallest particles to the birth of the universe. It's incredible how it all ties together.
Absolutely. And we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, I think it's time to take a step back and think about everything we've learned so far about the strong force.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been quite a journey so far exploring the strong force, right? From these tiny quarks to the giant stars, it's amazing how something we can't even see directly has such a huge impact on, well, everything.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? And the best part is, we're not done yet.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. Remember that theory of everything we talked about? That quest to find the ultimate link between all the forces?
Like a universal Rosetta Stone for physics.
Exactly. And one of the most promising contenders is string theory.
String theory. That's the one with the tiny vibrating strings.
I get it. Imagine instead of particles, we have these tiny little strings, and the way they vibrate determines what kind of particle or force they represent.
Okay, so it's like a cosmic symphony, and each force is a different instrument.
That's a great way to put it. But there's a catch, of course.
There's always a catch. It's really tough to actually test the predictions of string theory. Like, the energies involved are so massive, we can't even create them with our current technology.
So it's a beautiful idea, but still a bit out of reach.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
But string theory isn't the only game in town. There are other approaches, like loop quantum gravity, which tries to quantize space-time itself.
It's amazing to think that there are people out there grappling with these mind-boggling concepts.
That's what makes physics so exciting, right? There's always something new to discover.
This whole deep dive has really opened my eyes to the incredible complexity and beauty of the universe. It's like we zoomed in from the everyday world into this hidden realm where the rules are completely different.
And even though we zoomed into the tiniest scales, we saw how those tiny interactions shape the entire cosmos. It's all interconnected.
Well said. I want to thank you for guiding us through this incredible journey. It's been a real eye-opener.
The pleasure was all mine.
And for our listeners who want to keep exploring, I'd recommend checking out. Suggest a specific resource like a book, article, or video related to the strong force or particle physics. It's a great place to start.
Absolutely. And remember, the universe is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. So keep those questions coming.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep looking up.